In this video lecture, we're going to talk about computational literacy, computer literacy, and coding literacy. Let's review a little bit before we move on. There are some vocabulary terms you need to know for this particular unit. Those include information, algorithm, information society, attention scarcity, branding, media, digital media, automation, databases, hypertexts, interactivity, networks, telepresence, variability, and virtuality. I'm not going to go over each one of these right now, but I want to encourage you to review your notes, review the videos, review your readings. Make sure you know what all these words are and what they mean. Let's talk about the Raja reading. In particular, there are three big points I want to bring up. There is a thing called computer literacy, there's a thing called coding literacy, and a thing called computational thinking. We'll talk about each of these in turn. Starting with computer literacy. It is the ability to know how to work with computers efficiently. Then we have coding literacy. That's knowing how to read and write programming languages. And computational literacy is understanding what data can do, how organizing data differently can make you come up with good things, and how computers actually work on the inside and process data. We'll talk a little bit about computer literacy first, because this is an important concept that will come up in your lives. Computer literacy itself is a complex subject. The thing is, knowing how to use a computer efficiently is one thing, but just being simply able to operate a computer doesn't mean a whole lot by itself. For example, toddlers, they can operate computers. Can they do it well? Not necessarily. Can a cat operate a computer? Yes, a cat can operate a computer. Does that mean that they are computer literate? Not really, no. The deal here is that computer literacy involves operating a computer well. Question then is, who is computer literate? One of the answers that's popularly given to computer literacy is digital natives. So I'm going to introduce this term to you here. There are such a thing as digital immigrants and digital natives. Digital natives are people, such as mostly yourselves who are listening to this video, who are born when computers are omnipresent. They're everywhere. You've got a phone with you all the time. You supposedly can multitask and switch between things very quickly. You're oriented towards sociality. You're using social media all the time and multimedia. Whereas digital immigrants, such as myself, we grew up in the time when computers were new things. And I remember the first time I ever saw a home computer was actually, I think, about in 1981. These things were hideously expensive. So we are adopters of these technologies. We were not born with them all around us. The thing is, all y'all, you ain't necessarily automatically computer literate. There are a lot of people who are digital natives who do not know how to use computers well. Matter of fact, I'll give you a short story. I was teaching a class, and this class, it involved developing a website. It was a basic website. I was literally leading people almost by the nose through it. All right, open bracket, HTML, close bracket, things like that. And got to the part where a paragraph tag said, all right, now type in whatever you want to appear on the screen. I looked over one girl's shoulder. She was typing very slowly with two fingers, I hate computers. And yeah, she dropped the class the next day. But the point being here, those of you who are quote-unquote digital natives, y'all are not necessarily automatically computer literate. You may know how to use a computer, but you don't necessarily need to know, you do not know how to use it really well. Also, digital natives are not necessarily coding literate. Y'all can't necessarily read and write computer code, right? I know a whole lot of you, you are learning how to do some basic web stuff. You're getting actually into some fairly sophisticated web stuff, possibly. But at the same time, did you automatically know this just because you're a digital native? Answer is no. Also, digital natives are not necessarily computationally literate either. Again, the cat can do as well as many digital natives can. The question here, though, is what's really important in the Raja reading? The thing here that Raja was writing about is that coding literacy, it's a useful and valuable skill. A whole lot of people have emphasized it. For example, President Obama a few years ago had a thing, it was mentioned in the article, that holding up a phone, don't just use a phone, learn how to program it. Well, that's really cool, great. Matter of fact, these here particular white nerd boys, they have made a crap ton of money off of computer code, haven't they all? Here's the deal, though. What they have done is not necessarily just know how to code. They are all computationally literate. So computational literacy is more important than coding literacy. Let's review. Computational literacy is understanding the possibilities of data, what data can do, data design, how different organizing data differently can help you, and or how computers process data. How do the computers approach things? We're not talking about how computers actually work in terms of chip design, where the electrons flow this way, then that way. That's not important. The idea here is that computational literacy involves how to approach problems, how to take data and mash it and see if you can come up with something. So then, what really counts as computational literacy? Being able to imagine how anything that you can sort, count, track, you can take those pieces of data, combine them, and make something new. In other words, this is how data becomes information. If you can envision the way to combine these materials, you are computationally literate. That is what these particular white nerd boys managed to do. They took all sorts of pieces of data, combined them, put them together, and then they made a crap ton of money. So let's return to the ending question from our last class. Why do interactive designers and technical communicators need to know all this stuff? And by this stuff, we're talking about things such as the information society, algorithms, brands, digital media, automation, databases, hypertext, interactivity, networks, telepresence, variability, virtuality, and computational thinking. Why? Why is it that you all need to know this stuff? Take a couple of minutes, say 5, maybe 10 minutes, brainstorm some answers. Don't spend all week on this. Think about it. Post those answers to the D2L discussions thread that's available to you. Please aim for about 200 words. I'm not too interested in how correct your answers are. I'm interested in if your answers are plausible. There are all sorts of different possible answers, but I want to see what you come up with. Also, make sure that you explain your answers. Just 1 or 2 words. Here's why is this important? Making money. Well, yeah, sure. But what really about that? Why do we need to know these important things? And just as a hint, making money is not necessarily one of those answers. That's the end of this lecture, at least for today, and we will discuss your potential answers that we've put on the threads next week.